stream has been exported. We're going live now.
Are we actually live right now?
No, you can say all the terrible things that you were just saying, and there's no terrible things that would possibly go on the
There
internet.
won't be
right
any
now.
consequences for me saying that Jeremy Crawford needs to. Never mind. Hold on.
Oh no!
Needs to what?
What does Jeremy Crawford need to do?
He needs to listen to me more often. How about that? We'll just start with the bit.
Oh no, guys!
This is the bit.
This is. What do you mean? What bit? What are you talking about?
What a great way to begin. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
I just turned it on. Nobody's here except my mom, guys. Come on.
Okay, all right.
Gotta give it a minute before you
That's
introduce.
why I felt like dancing.
That's-
Okay.
You know
You're
what?
such a
Most
schmuck.
people,
You're such a schmuck.
he still doesn't know.
Oh my god.
He doesn't. He probably didn't watch the episode.
Yeah.
What did you do? What did you do that I don't know about?
It lined up so perfectly with you like going to get your fedora.
That's what it was. I forgot that's what he was leaving to do.
And Josh explaining that he would be dancing with your mom. It was like you were like, okay, and you took your headphones off and like walked away, and Josh was like, yeah, I'm gonna be dancing with your mom next week.
Wow, that's rude.
I was like, by the time you guys are watching this, I'm probably dancing with Lee's mom right now. And I was like, wait a second, did he leave? Did he just leave? He didn't hear me say that.
The perfect storm was everything.
Oh man, come on. You guys are doing me like this. Alright, we're live. I think we're good.
This episode is brought to you by Mott's. Not the apple juice, the fruit snacks.
There you go. We've got a marble sighting.
I can't. I
Hey.
can't.
How are you, Vanessa?
These guys they telling me they fucked my mom. What do I do?
Whoa, we never
Whoa.
said anything of
Whoa.
the sort.
Oh no. This is just like high school all over again, guys.
I always knew I'd find you someday, son.
It's so uncomfortable.
Good.
Yeah.
Part of me really wants to double down on that, but I'm just gonna
Josh, the Blake parallels continue.
I know. I told you.
I don't understand these references. Listen, you're on my channel now. New rules, all right? You're muted. No one can hear you. Screw you guys.
Oh, speaking of new rules.
We have a whole book of them. Except
Yeah,
we
right.
don't, because none of us are cool enough.
Nah, we didn't make the cut.
Nah. Hello. They're looking forward to the conversation. Well, we don't have much to converse about the new rules. That's why we're talking about the old rules, because
It's a time of reflection.
it's a time to reflect upon the good, the bad, and the ugly. All the friends we made along the way, the fedoras we burnt after high school, everything. So, where do you
And
guys...
I want to make sure that we're very clear on this. When Lee says all the fedoras that we burnt after high school, he means him. Just him.
Did you see that? What was it? The oh my god, what was that? The Brennan Lee Mulligan, not Brennan Lee Mulligan, the Game Changer episode where Lou had to like, this guy got a raise and he finds the perfect fedora. Did you see that skit?
Yes. Yeah.
I shouldn't.
I'm pretty sure Vanessa will appreciate this. I think she's a Game Changer fan as well.
Game Changers, it's
Yeah.
so funny.
Game Changer is. I had never seen Dimension 20 before. Game Changer was the first thing I saw, and I think that's part of what made me realize that I actually like Brendan Lee Mulligan. I've definitely told some of this before, where like early on in D&D YouTube, he would just randomly show up as just this person who none of my friends knew who he was. Like, I was a really big WebDM fan, and it was like, we sat down with Brendan Lee Mulligan to do this, and I didn't watch it. I was like, who is this random guy? And I was like, this isn't a monster video or conceptual whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch this interview with some rando. And I just
Yep.
kept being like, why does he keep showing up places? And then I finally saw the Game Changer clip from the, it's like an improv musical episode.
I love
And
them.
then I got Dropout, and I still have a Dropout subscription, and I'm a fan.
Sounds like a game changer.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is.
Leave it to me to throw the wet blanket on everything.
I think my first time hearing or not interacting, but like being exposed to him was a game changer. The shorts clip where Times New Roman meets
That was good.
Comic Sans or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, it was so ridiculous. I could not stop laughing. Ugh.
Upper Chancery lies broken there.
At my feet. Oh man!
Believe it or not, we are reflecting on our D&D experience.
This is part of the D&D experience.
Right? This is part of our journey.
What do you guys want to talk about first? Because there's like, do you want to talk about stories? Do you want to talk about like rules?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what are we talking about tonight?
Let me just say something quick.
Oh God, here we go.
Jake and I were recording a video yesterday, and it had to do with the new rule set or the rule update. Still 5e, right? Just different. And I was just thinking about like all the changes, how it feels, kind of like where I'm at right now, and what I think. I don't know, my thoughts moving towards this new edition, and just got goofy. We started talking to Lee, and it's like, let's talk about some of our favorite stories from 5th edition. Let's talk about our thoughts for D&D 2024 and what that's going to look like. Yeah, so I think it would be a great place to start with a favorite memory from 5th edition. How do you feel about that, Lee? Do you want to start us off?
5th edition, interesting.
I could start us off if you don't have one off the top of your head.
I have one, but why don't you start off and why don't you set the tone here? Because I got one, and I didn't want to see where you go with it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, this is just gonna be a gameplay moment, and fans of our channel have definitely heard this story before. Jake probably knows exactly what I'm gonna say. My first real campaign, it's an in-person campaign with Jake, our friend Nooch, and a couple other friends who they don't ever appear on the channel. It was this whole kind of like epic campaign. You know, we were part of this guild, just tracking down different missions, and we are in our world of Ivlar. We were over by I think Tanatai. Was that that's
Tanatai.
the Tanatai is the town that the battle happened in, or is that the Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure if it was Honeyguard or Tanatai. So we're in this like way western town of Tanatai, which is basically like they're subject to these like orc raids constantly, and you know the orcs in this area, they're kind of like nomadic, but they've gotten way stronger. They've kind of rallied under one force, and we had this epic battle defending this village. We lost, of course. We get thrown in prison, and there's no real solution for like how we're gonna get out of there. And I'm like, the only thing that I could think of, it's not even like this is my best idea, really my only idea was basically creating like an uprising with these prisoners and rioting and overtaking the place. And I remember I think I had like maybe we were separated too, so it was I want to say it was
my character was separate, but I think everyone else was, because I was playing a half orc who was the brother of the chieftain.
Chris was in another spot too.
Well, he was a druid.
Yeah, so he wild shaped and went somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And then Paul wasn't there. He was I don't remember what Paul was doing. Yeah. So my character just basically, I wrote out this whole speech. I some of it was original, a lot of it was ripped from multiple different, IPs. I think I don't know. I probably still have it written down somewhere. I should record that at some point. But just give this epic speech. I get to roll charisma to see how well it works. I rolled high. I don't remember exactly what I rolled, and people get hyped, and we start gathering weapons. We get these pickaxes in this mining camp that we're in and everything, and suddenly it begins. And Nooch did such an excellent job just giving the freedom to just kind of like, hey, you're in this crappy situation. I don't know how you're gonna get out of it. Good luck. Like, do something. That's a scary thing to do as a DM, to put someone in a situation where you don't know what the solution is. But I guess trusting us with that to figure that out was one cool thing. But he also just explained that and set that scene and that tone so well for this escape that happened. And that was probably one of the coolest things that I've done in D&D.
That's cool, man. Those are the kinds of stories that you don't like. It's something like it seems so small, right? But like those moments, I don't know. You just don't forget about those kinds of things.
I mean, that was maybe 8 or 9 years ago now. Maybe.
Oh yeah, that was a while.
No, yeah, probably 2015 or so. Which is just wild.
That's actually, yeah, especially considering D&D 5th edition came out in 2024 or 2014. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess it was 2016. That would be my guess. I think that's probably right.
That sounds right, because we only played one session with you as the DM afterwards, and then you moved in 2017, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so that sounds right.
Well, that's a long you moved in 2016, and you guys you had one couple of games together, and then you're just like, peace, I'm out.
Well, no, so the original plan for our Ivlar campaign was a homebrew world originally started by our friend Dooch that was the DM for that campaign, that he was gonna do like levels 1 through 5, and then I was gonna go from there for like a while. We were just gonna trade off and do that kind of a thing. But the scheduling monster and the life monster took over.
It's a spooky monster. No one wants to address it. It's the worst of them all.
The highest CR in the whole
yeah, exactly. All right, what about you, Mr. Jake? You want to throw out yours?
Yeah, so I would say particularly with 5th edition, it's a different kind of a memory, but Josh and I often talk about how we met through the game Destiny, but what made us actually meet in person was 5th edition. And that's a pretty cool thing. And it was, I guess it was, it's got to be about 8 years ago, right? Because didn't you like just turn 21? Because I was like, we have beer. How old are you? I was like making sure we weren't going to get in trouble.
I feel like the first time we played was, all right, it was
like right on the cusp there. Like
it was 2015, I think, because we had played a little bit of Destiny. No, it was during Taken King, so I think 2015 sounds right.
Yeah.
But,
dang.
Well, no, that would have been 2016. I think
it was 2016.
Yeah, it was 2016.
Because we had been playing online for a while, but Destiny. So, that's kind of, I guess it could be a little cheesy, but like I made one of my best friends for my entire life with this game, and then we started a YouTube channel. So like it's just one of those things that like these are the kinds of cool connections that you make. You really never know exactly how that's gonna be. So
yeah.
And then seeing the look on your face when the guy who says Snurf Nibbly was the DM for that session.
Snurf Nibbly
said roll a D100, and you're like, okay. You turned into a demi-lich for like a minute, because it was like you just went to that page in the monster manual. It's like, you turn into this here, and he just put the stat block in front of you. His first session ever.
What?
I can't believe you remember that. That was And
I remember you were just like that is wild. Like your mind like exploded. He's like still figuring out like what's an action again. Hold on. He's
Yeah,
like, and
pretty
here you
much.
go.
Oh man, he's great.
Mm-hmm.
Just all about fun and no real care for like balance, uh, which there's
Yeah,
a time and a place for,
there
and
is.
I think, especially with the type of games that he was usually running, it just worked. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, not to jump in front of Lee, but I just want to say like that was another thing that I wanted to mention. You know, the friends that we've made along the way, right? Like because fifth edition, that's how we met in person, like you just said. We started J&J. Through that, we got Michael to start playing D&D for the first time. He's been in several campaigns on our channel. We got Izzy to
Yeah.
start playing D for the first time. She's in several campaigns on our channel. We got
Evan.
Evan, who Evan was like just I don't want to say random
I would say
dude, but
like a friendly content creator
yeah,
relationship.
he's like the cousin of someone I went to high school with who I discovered was on Twitch,
Yep.
and then like that my high school friends moved, long gone, not a part of their thing anymore at all, and but you know through D&D we were able to get to know Evan. He's one
Mm-hmm.
of our really good friends.
Yep.
Tommy Meth, obviously Lee, um,
Mr. Barron.
Mr. Baron, Blue
Mhm.
Dragon John or Black
Mhm.
Dragon John, depending on how when you know him from, and tons of others.
Yep. John and Ava in space, they had
Yeah.
many iterations.
Yep. The mutant
Jordan
agenda.
from Flute Sloop. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
you're
true, it
right.
is.
Yeah.
It's true. Vanessa has a good point in chat too, like having a way to stay connected to friends during 2020. Absolutely. That was a huge thing. And truly, like Lee, I know, like, how long have we known each other now? Maybe like a year and a half.
More than a year.
It was right. It
It
was
was-
when D&D was kind of getting started, I think.
Was
Right?
it?
'Cause that was
met-
the druid video.
I mean, I can look at our Twitter DMs. Hold on a second. I'll tell you in a minute.
I
He's
met
gonna
Lee
find out
for
when
the
he
first
slid into my
time.
DMs. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I met Lee for the first time in the charity stream that we did, which was about a year ago. I think it was a little less than a year ago, actually, which that's crazy.
It had to have been right around when the druid came out, because I remember I was a guest on Flute Sloot's stream talking about that Unearthed Arcana, and then you just hit me up, and I was like, cool. You were like,
I
Was it
don't open
Twitter?
my Twitter DMs a lot. There's a lot of porn messages in my
no.
requests that I was not expecting.
they were like, hey, you look nice and pasty.
Yeah, I was not ready for that.
Are you a young Irish gentleman
Hi, is there anything that
looking
can
for
make
single
you
girls in your area?
Is there anything that can make you happy for a few days? Oh my god. I have to scroll down. Oh my god. I hate Twitter.
I'm gonna go
I
ahead and
hate
guess
Twitter.
I'm gonna guess it was like April of last year. That's gonna be my guess.
Why don't I have it? It's not here. Oh wait, here they are. Hold on a
So you
second.
need me to do it?
No, I got it. All right, let's
This
go.
guy.
Zooming
guy
up,
right
up. Here we go. Yeah, I reached out to you about that. Oh yeah, because it was the one D&D Druid stuff just came out.
Yeah, you're like, you want to do a druid video together, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was March of 2024 or
Pretty
2023.
good guess.
2023. Yeah.
May 20th, 2023. That's when I met you, Lee.
Yeah, it was when we did the charity thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that was in like October or something, but I guess not.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. It's a fever dream.
Honestly, after I heard about some of that stuff, I was just like, man, what? And it's tuned out. But it was fun. Meeting you guys was freaking fantastic. Yeah, I think as far as I'm concerned, my memories for 5th edition, it's I'll start off with how I got started in 5th edition. My buddy, he wanted to play D&D, and he was just running a 5th edition campaign, and we played like 3 games, and then it just fell apart for one reason or another. So I was like, screw it, I'll do it myself. And I went through, and me and Alyssa we went to vacation in Los Angeles. We went to go like LA vacation to do all that fun stuff. And on the plane ride back, we had like time to kill, so we went to like a Barnes and Nobles and whatnot, and I picked up Out of the Abyss, the 5th edition module at Barnes and Nobles, and I read it on the plane home, and I was like, guys, I know what we're doing. So that was my first jump into 5th edition. It literally the worst option for me to possibly take. But it was fantastic. As for memories, I think that I've got 2 of them. One of them was from Out of the Abyss, one of my favorite best lads. If you don't want spoilers, mute the thing right now. I'm gonna use one name in that thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Glabagool, the best boy in the entire world. My party adopted him. It was like a child to them. And he was the best boy who just wanted to go around making friends, and it's the best reoccurring character I've ever had in my game to date, and everyone loves him. My second favorite thing I've ever done, or probably my first favorite thing I've ever done, was in my actual first homebrew campaign I ever did. They started off in literally a poor like fishing village, and started off, that village got attacked by orcs and goblins, whatever, right? They had a tussle with some goblins, some bad folks, whatever. In the scuffle, part of the inn that they were staying in, floor kind of crumbled out from under them, and they found like a bag of like 50 gold. 50 sessions later, they returned to the town and realized that it had been taken over by other orcs and goblins, because that was like a fund that they used to pay for the town guard to defend that city. So they returned back to a city like just completely rampant and destroyed. And they're like, what happened? And after that like 50th session, they're like, what happened to that city? I was like, oh, remember that 50 gold you guys found? Yeah, that was the pay for all the guards. And they were like, no way! And just having that mind-blowing moment of something so small and so simple after 50 sessions pay off, I was like, man, that is what being a DM is all about, man. That moment of your players being like, you did that? What?
No. You did
exactly. No, you did that.
Oh, look, 50 gold randomly just sitting here. That's almost 2 months worth of wages.
Exactly.
This isn't important at all.
Exactly.
Guess it's ours.
At level 1, exactly. So
yeah,
that's just how the dice worked. But
I could
man,
finally buy that longbow.
Yeah, imagine that. Wow, I'm a 5th of the way there to some plate armor, or no, not even a 5th, like a 5% of the way there to plate armor.
Good luck with that. I would say I don't know about that.
Yeah. Oh man,
it is really nice when you see something that the players did have such an impact on the stories that are being told. And I'm trying to think back to Dragon of Icespire Peak, and minor spoilers, but like one of the very first things you go on, there's a windmill and there's someone you have to save, and you save them, and like things in the module didn't make sense. And I was running the game for Josh, Izzy, and Michael, and they were like, the module says this person is super stubborn and won't ever go with you. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, you're coming with us, like there's a dragon around, you're in trouble, you know. And it just didn't make sense for me to make her stay. So I think I made you do a persuasion check, I think, or something like that, and you rolled well. And then I think because she had to like set up shop and like do things that she was supposed to be able to do, she didn't have a home or supplies yet. So like I delayed that to later on, and it was just the whole thing. And it was like I don't know. It was living. It was alive that way because of it, even though it was a module. And it's like, oh, that's supposed to be like you don't have to do any thinking or dungeon mastering. It's like, that's not true. You're still supposed to make it your own, and the players are different no matter who's. You can probably have the same group of players and dungeon master, but because they're playing different characters, it's gonna turn out differently. You know, like playing Baldur's Gate another time. You know,
Yup, 100%.
Player
Question.
agency is just a beautiful thing.
Question for you guys: how do you feel about your players constantly using the wrong names for your NPCs? I have every single one of the times I've played with any of my players, they like, I don't know if they do it on purpose or they're just being dumb or what, but they always screw up the names. Like, I had one character who was named Varrock. He was a Dragonborn, like, fighter. They called him Barack Obama. You know, I had a Slad whose name's Slad, so they called him Salad. You know, I had like it's just kind of how it goes.
I think you're just fighting an uphill battle. You can't win on that one.
No, you can't. Yeah. Oh,
you see,
like,
Varrock talks.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this. And
no.
eventually.
Thank you for your services. You will be rewarded.
Yeah, that's just how it goes.
I have to say, I think I'm worse. Oh man, I feel like I'm worse at remembering anyone's name than my players have been at remembering names. Like, I've
pronunciation guy.
That was good. Pronunciation guide with
That's
correct spellings.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. See that they're doing it on purpose.
I think I'm worse than my players are, though.
I think
like,
I'm usually pretty good with it. I think.
Well, think about like even our Vecna Eve of Ruin campaign. How many times have I gotten your character names wrong?
Yeah, you couldn't get Michael's. He couldn't get your like biggest. What's his last name again? You would just be like, it's like it's biggest brood fest.
Yeah.
Like Bunkus.
Biggest Bright Maw.
Biggest Bright Maw. Bonky, Aridel, Aaron.
Yeah, just let it go.
Yeah, you do struggle with names a lot, huh?
It's just the last thing that I ever think about, whether it's something that I'm running as a DM and I'm like, all right, I know exactly what like this can happen. There's a guard over here. They know this, that, and the other thing. And then like people are like, what's your name? And I'm like, Bob.
That is
Kevin.
Important.
I have so many Teds in my initial homebrew campaign.
Wait a second. Are you playing a mini game within your game?
No.
And is that game called Have You Met Ted?
No, it's not. It's just I can't come up with names on the spot.
If you're not sure, it's just better off Ted.
That's the name I came up with. And then I made a mistake because I named one of the important what's his name? Antagonist, like an antagonist character, Ted. And then Ted just became my default after that. So they're like, wait, is this Ted or is this another Ted? Like, so...
Is this Ted 2? Is this Ted 3?
Part of the Big Bad's plans.
Yeah, everyone named. They just hire everyone named Ted. You're hired.
Yep. We're looking for Ted. Yeah, I'm Ted.
Yeah.
No. I'm Chef Ted.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. I've got at least honest to God, at least 20 Teds in that world that they met in that campaign.
That's awesome.
It's so bad. That was when I was a new DM though. So I cut myself some slack with that.
I think you mentioned an aha moment with your players being one of your favorite moments.
Yeah.
I think that makes me want to pick a specific DM moment, and it's hard to do that because there's one, there's a lot of great moments, but two, it's like, oh man, it's all a blur. But there is one thing in our Ancient Relics and Hokey Religions campaign one of the characters, Evan's character, Echo, comes from this like monastery, and he trained with a master. He's a monk, and we go into this other city, Uthadurn, and he finds the temple to Ayun, and is like talking to the leader of this temple, and then like slowly realizes like this is the brother of Master Dinoa. This is the brother of the person who like I've trained with. And it's like as he's like sparring with him, and it's just like, yeah, this is a really familiar, like it's different, but this is a really familiar style that you're fighting against. And like I don't know. That was a fun moment for me.
Yeah, those are
I
the
do
kind of
like-
moments you live for, though.
Like the show would not tell approach very much in that way.
Mm-hmm. There we go. No. I meant Ted the Tailor.
Ted Taylor. Ted the Tool Man. Taylor.
Ted the Toolman Taylor.
Yeah.
Nothing like a good 90s reference to keep the young folks.
I know, right? Exactly. To be fair, most people playing D&D would probably understand that reference.
Do you understand that reference? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, right. In the comments.
Yeah, just spell it out phonetically, just like Vanessa, right?
Exactly.
Which is a tip, by the way.
Oh man. Oh shit, what was I about to say? I was gonna say something and I totally fucking forgot. Oh, have you ever, let me talk about this. One of my favorite, things I ever, like, encounters I threw my party at, and if I did it now, I would definitely do it differently, because it was something I did early on when I was learning how to DM, but, like, my party was all relatively newer players, and they fell into the habit of firebolt, 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 fireball, firebolt, firebolt, doing the same thing every single encounter. So, and this might be useful for anyone out there DMing. I used an exact copy of the party as an encounter against them, and I used only abilities that they had access to show them what different things were available to them and how effective they could be in combat. And they're like, wait, that's baloney, you can't do that. I was like, really?
Actually, you
can. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, you can. Just look beyond that first page and you'll find this wonderful thing. Like, that was one of my favorite things to do for newer players, is to expose them to other things in a way that's interesting, without saying, hey, why you should do something other than just use fireball.
I like that, because it's I mean, in a way you could look at that as cheeky, but like at the same time, like it is designed to teach. And so no, well done. Probably.
Yeah, it was. I made it flow into the story too, but like I had to make an encounter for something specific, and around that time I was making that encounter, I had to I was getting frustrated with that. So I was like, well, I can do this because of certain things that made sense in the campaign at the point in time. But it was great because they took a lot away from it, I think, and they learned a bit about how to play their class a little bit more than just, hit the basic attack button over and over.
It's like the D&D equivalent of button mashing. Like,
literally, yeah.
I'm playing Mortal Kombat. I'm pretty good at it, I think.
Well, are you casual good or are you good? Like,
Tiger! That's Mortal Kombat, right?
Oh no.
How about can you think of like the biggest mistake you made?
Yes.
I certainly can. Mine's on the internet.
Mine's not on the internet, but it was pretty bad too. Remember my first time DMing that one shot? I put you up against werewolves, and I
remember I was like, okay, let me just look at I don't have silver weapons. We were like level 2 or 3. I was like,
were we that? Maybe. Well,
maybe
I don't
4
think
at most.
I'd say three or 4. Um,
But I do remember panicking when I found out what it was. I was like, oh, okay.
yeah, and I think like um, I
Oops.
think it was fun. It was a good one shot for the most part, but the mistake is that I misunderstood resistances versus invulnerability. Um, so I did not realize that werewolves were like invulnerable unless it was a magic or a silvered weapon.
Yeah, I was like, we don't
Um,
have magic weapons. I don't even know if we had someone with cantrips. Like it was a very low magic setting, so like we had
yep.
like a rogue, a fighter, a barbarian, like very like very martial characters. No like no magic weapons yet.
You
And
still came out on top. I mean,
I
like I
there was like
supplied.
we were able to improvise weapons or something.
Yeah, I think I want to say um, there was a Indy. Freaking
Uh-oh.
dog, just barking for no reason. I want to say there was
Oof.
or
Oof.
there was it's past that. It was a higher pitched bark, um, or maybe a dagger, and then I think a couple arrows. But yeah, if somehow you made it work. That was a pretty big oops on my part.
Yeah. Mine there's gonna be spoilers for. Well, you know what? I think I could tell it relatively spoiler free. I looked at the Will-O-Wisp stat block, and I don't remember the name of the feature, like Steal Life, Drain Life, something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the crux of the feature is if a target is at 0 hit points, I missed that line. They can go up to someone and force a Constitution saving throw, and if they fail it, they die. And I was like, that is the worst monster I've ever seen. This is just awful. And so I ended up having, um, I added a feature to an item that they were looking for so that if someone did die, they would be able to come back to life. Because I was thinking, like, I don't want to lose the tension of the moment because I was thinking that was important. I don't want to do things that I'm not like I don't want to make it super cheesy, but I want like let them reward it if someone dies and they still are able to find the item or their MacGuffin or whatever. And of everybody in the group that fails like a DC 6 con save, it was like a 10 or 12 or something like that. The barbarian dropped, and I just killed the character right there. Um, all because I didn't read that first line. Yep. Yeah,
I don't know if you guys can hear this.
I did. Yeah, little taps going on. But yeah, so I killed the character right then and there. There's video evidence of it.
Yeah.
And Josh, your character didn't die, but you were a player in that, and you were like, ugh. Like I remember the gravity of the situation hit like a truck. I was like, oh, okay.
I remember, yeah. I think we took a break like at that moment, and I remember being like, "I don't think that's how that. I don't think that's what that's supposed to do." And we rolled with it, and it told a pretty awesome story though afterwards.
Yeah. But you had other ideas. You're like, do we leave and go find a cleric? Like, and do that. Like, what are we gonna do? And you decided to like, let's just try and finish this, and go from
Daisy
there.
would have wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
From a player's perspective, that was fun.
Yeah. Oh man. I think my biggest one, and I don't even necessarily think this is a mistake so much as it is just a learning, like a learning experience that I really had, it's something I had to go through to learn. I in the Out of the Abyss campaign, I was playing with a couple of my friends and some people who were friends, but not the closest or well-known people, and I didn't know them very well. And we came down to a very stubborn standoff between me and one of these people. Long story short, we get to a point in the campaign where it's like you know when you get to Baldur's Gate 3 and it's like, if you progress any further, you cannot go back? They got to one of those moments. And they're like, oh shit, we forgot to do something. We need to go back. And I was like, no. So they're like, no, we're gonna go back. I'm like, you can't. Why not?
It'll mess everything up.
The door's shut. What do you mean the door's shut? We're in a cave. I was like, I mean, okay, you can try. So I spent 20 minutes, making literally, effectively they walked through the Underdark from a wizard tower that they weren't supposed to know how to get to. They were shown there, whatever, but they left and they wanted to go back. But when in the book it specifically said, the only information it said after that moment was anyone traveling to this location has to deal with a lot of traps to get back without being guided. So when they said they wanted to go back, I was like, well, well, that sucks. They travel like 5 miles and there's a lot of traps. All right, I had him roll for traps for like every hour. I had them roll for like 5 traps to try to get back over the course of 20 minutes. And I was like, well, and they had a cleric, they had everything to deal with it. To dispels, they used all of their spell slots, but god damn did they get back there. And it was all for nothing because they get back and there's nothing there. Like, the whole reason they wanted to go back, it wasn't there. So that was like probably 4 months into my DMing, and I was like, that was when I learned, oh, I can't just go by the book. I need to have other things ready. And that's my very hard learnt, what is it called? Lesson, but the thing that you do when you don't have a plan. Improv. Thank you. Yeah, that was my very hard learned improv lesson. So that was a rough one.
Yeah. Nemo brings up an interesting one. I've definitely fallen into the trap of asking for too many rolls when I started DMing.
Oh, 100%.
That can be an easy one too, because Josh and I, we often talk about this. It's kind of it's very related to fudging dice rolls, right? Like if you're not prepared to accept the roll of the dice, then why are you asking for it?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, there can be moments where you're like, interesting. Let me think about that for a moment. Like you don't actually have to be like, I want to look for this thing. Roll a perception check. Like it doesn't have, like you don't have to have the instant answer immediately. You can just pause for a second and go.
I think that's a new DM thing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Nemo said, and that's fair. You know, sometimes it's like, okay, where do you want to search? I search the desk. Okay, yeah, you find there's a secret drawer. You're not even making me roll for it. Well, you said you searched the desk, like or how do you search the desk? You know, you could do lots of things like that.
I think it goes even
perfectly fine,
even simple, like even more, shallower than that. And that I know that I personally, when I really started out, I would just ask for rolls for everything the players wanted to do, regardless of if there was a chance they could fail. And then they would roll like a 1 and fail, and be like, well, oh shit, they needed that. Why did I have them roll for it? And then I can't give them information. I can't give them information on a 1 because then it didn't matter. But why did I ask him to roll? And that's something.
An NPC comes along with a note.
Exactly. Wow.
There's I'm a big Community fan. I think most people know that by now. But there's a really stupid so is Jake. There's a really stupid joke in the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons episode, which is now banned on a lot of streaming services, but that's a completely different conversation. And it's Jeff, who is I'm totally blanking on his name, but it's the guy who hosted was it The Soup? I don't know.
The Soup?
One of the main. It doesn't matter.
Can't I think of his name?
I don't know why I can't think of his name either.
Oh my god.
It's gonna haunt me. But one of the main characters of the show, they all of them they're playing a game of D&D, and
Joel
you
McHale.
know Joel McHale, thank you. Joel McHale's character is asked like what do you do, and he's like, actually it's either him or Britta, I don't know, one of them. They say I attack using my additional notes, and it's like it's a really dumb joke, right? But I think it also is a good example of like early DMs and early players, like the way that you're interacting with this world, especially if you don't really know what you're doing, is this character sheet. This character sheet is my only way to interact with this game and this game world. So it's an easy thing to fall back on when you're a new DM, or even if you're a new player. Instead of just saying like, Jake said like, I want to search for this thing. I'm like, okay, how do you search for it? What do you do? Like, or a player just saying, I want to roll perception or anything like that. Why do you want to roll perception? What are you trying to do? And just really trying to get those, like, what's the goal? What's the goal here? You might not have to roll. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but like, let's actually play the game instead of just rolling dice. It's part of the game. It's not the whole game.
I like that. That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah. One of my patented techniques is called the search and shuffle. Like, if you don't know something, let me look at my notes. Even if it's not in your notes, it buys you time.
Need a moment? Chew it over with Twix.
Exactly.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah. All right, I got a next topic for you guys. I thought about this one all on my own. What is one
Never
moment?
been more proud.
What is? Hold on. This is my brain. I don't know if you can hear it. It's just elevator music whenever you guys are talking.
I can't hear it now.
The stream will appreciate it. Yeah, exactly.
Nice, Josh. Nice.
Yeah, Dor, I feel that, man. I've done that before. But all right. When you're DMing, we've all had those moments where a player does something, not a DM mistake, a player mistake. And this can be anything from a player making a mistake that will go poorly, a player where the player learns or realizes they made a mistake and it's too late, and those moments where you as a DM are like, oh, that's not good. Have you ever had those moments?
Certainly.
What's your favorite one or most memorable one? I actually have two of them.
I could think of one for Josh, actually.
One for me as the player?
As the DM.
As the DM.
I was in the group, but I was like, oh, this is bad. Like, guys, we really walked into a hornet's nest.
I don't know why I'm blank. This is like, it's a good question. It should be an easy question. I'm blanking.
I'm thinking Lava Bridge.
Oh, yeah. Just like blind arrogance and
blind confidence. Of
yeah,
course, we can defeat an
confidence from
entire squad by
Oh
ourselves.
my goodness. Yeah. That's a good one. I should find this.
I feel that more because I was on the player side of that, I guess.
I could probably pull up the layout of what that looked like. Actually, no, I can't because of what happened immediately after. I mean, basically, the group there in this like underground temple kind of thing that's under a ruined city. There's an excavation going on above ground. People know that they are there. They've gotten into a fight with the person who's leading this expedition. Didn't even necessarily have to. They just kind of did.
We definitely didn't have to. I can just say that. I remember being like, oh, this is not going to end well, guys.
I think at the point where he was attacked, he was maybe like an antagonist at best. But it changed, So they attack him. He escapes. They don't try to flee or anything. They just kind of hang out where they're at, find another item, and then suddenly he comes down with like a full army. and they didn't even. I don't even think you guys took a short rest beforehand. Like,
No, I remember thinking like because we were there for an item.
yeah,
I remember like let's get the item and then get out of here. Like we were thinking let's move,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, and it was like Jake, I think was trying. So there were different conversations all going on. I feel like most people were saying, let's just get out of here. There's another door that we could try to go out of. Like let's just
it
go
was
and
an
we'll see what
unknown,
happens.
but
It
it
was
was
an
like
unknown.
the unknown is better
Yeah.
than what we know.
And this villain
Yep.
now, or antagonist, is like speaking to them through this closed door, gives them another chance to give up. They don't give up. Door blows up. Um, some of the I don't usually do guns in D&D, but I think in this case we did.
The setting
Um,
has some gunpowder, yeah.
yeah, so there's boom boxes as they were called, going off. There are mages casting AoE spells, all sorts of things, just fighting everywhere. 4 players, not all of their resources about them, and
Yeah.
they still think that they could have won that fight.
Everyone but
That's-
one of them.
That's
Honestly,
what
like, I
blows
remember
my mind.
Crazy.
It was like the only reason they survived is because Jake's character gave up on
I
behalf of
surrendered us.
the
Yeah.
group. Um, and after he said that, they kind of listened. But I can guarantee you they would not have won that fight if it continued.
Yep.
Like, yeah, this is not good. And I remember even before, like, I do remember this. So when the guy was giving us warnings, we all tried to find good advantageous positions. I was an archer, so I was kind of like on a ledge looking over the entryway, and you were like, Jake, your character would know this. There's a lot of people that you're about to have to fight if you stay and fight. Like you know that this won't end well. Like I tried to explain it, and they're like, no. I was like, oh okay. Like,
I really
don't know
tried
what
to
say.
headline, really tried to headline that encounter and the dangers of it.
You did.
It's just apparently not, because they still think years later that they could have won the fight.
I mean, I do think that
Yeah,
Nemo's got a good point about the overconfidence is the first
Absolutely.
requirement for being an adventurer.
It's
Oh,
also the first
100%.
requirement for being a dead adventurer.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a lot of overlap. Yes.
Marvel's
fine
got
line.
thrown
No, but
against
I-
an intellect devourer too with the 9 intelligence. Ooh, that's always scary.
I'm trying to think in recent memory, I can definitely ignore Stormwreck Isle completely for that question. Running like there was no point in that when you guys were overmatched. Yeah, I'm not thinking of like turning into a goldfish dropping from 300 feet in the air. Nothing like that.
Yeah. What is
That
that?
was
What are you referring to there? Is that a reference?
What happened?
That's a campaign 1 critical role moment.
I know I'm being funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marisha laughs at that one at least now, which is good.
Yeah.
There's nothing else you can do about it.
Exactly, right? That's written in
Like,
the
I need
history
extra
books.
hit points. I'm a druid. I'm falling rather than turning into a bird and flying away. I'm gonna turn
Yeah.
into a goldfish and hit the water.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's like, you have 1 hit point, and then you take. I don't have enough dice for this. Let me just do some averages. He takes his phone out. I was like, yes.
Oh
awesome.
man.
Yeah, me.
But that's a DM mistake, right? One of the most iconic moments is a DM mistake. Falling damage caps, and he made a tweet apologizing about that. Maybe not apologizing
Actually-
about it.
He
but-
should not have apologized.
Maybe he didn't
for that.
apologize about it, but he made a comment about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I forgot. Oops." Like,
Yeah, that's technically correct, but he honored the agency of the player by not capping it.
mm-hmm.
Agreed.
That's my take on that.
Yeah.
I also didn't know that falling damage capped.
Is
Yep.
it a 10d6?
It's 20d6.
20d6?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, I was like, it should be more than that if that's the case.
Yeah.
But,
Terminal velocity, baby.
yeah, I'm trying to think, Josh, have you ever been on the end of
Me too,
Of
Nemo.
where-
Me too.
Oh,
of me in the DM chair?
I mean, I think you could easily say the I think you could say the fight with what's his name with the Thunderbore.
Okay, you guys felt overmatched in that?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I think that that's the closest that I could
Yeah,
think
what was
of.
the most scared you were? I guess when I was the DM, like where you're like, oh, this is bad. Was it that? It wasn't with.
Okay,
You got one.
it wasn't with what?
I feel like it might have been in that area, but I don't know if it was that fight. Was it the actual Thunderbore fight?
I feel like that was a big one just because of like different goals. Everybody kind of was going in different directions and there was no clear plan. Our bard ended up like doing a lot of the frontline fighting.
Yeah, Lore Bard.
Lore
By
bard,
the
yeah.
way,
Yeah, good distinction.
Yeah.
Like,
When your group is
um,
a lore bard, a fighter, and a barbarian, yeah, you're.
Mm-hmm.
but I mean the boss battle itself, Cryovane, like you had Izzy just failed pretty much every check that
The
she could
ground is
have
covered
failed
in
for.
ice, and she
Yeah.
never succeeded once on not slipping. And I was like, "Oh, this is
That's
bad.
not a
This is
mistake
this is-
per se. That's
Michael
just how the dice work, though, right?
I don't. Well,
Michael was 2 turns away from having visibility, because he thought he'd be able to cast using like a slit in the wall, and then you used some sort of fog cloud or something.
there was a layer action, a fog cloud,
Oh,
and
yes.
I was able to damage him and your character and his character while blocking his line of sight off
Yeah.
completely. And he was like,
He was,
"Oh no."
I guess I can't do anything. Like,
Yeah, I remember I actually ran a few simulations of that fight just like super quick, just rolling the dice. And I remember I did like 8 of them, and like 2 or 3 of them there was TPK, and I was like, that sounds about right. Let's see what happens. And so, it was a boss fight. I wanted it to be dangerous, and I always envisioned you guys divvying up the potions and the resources differently. And it's funny because it ended up still. Well, did it work out? You'll have to watch your Dragon of Icefire Peak.
You can never plan for the players. It just never
you
works.
can't. You can't. I wanted to get it because I modified the boss because the group was much more powerful than they should have been. So I was also trying to just make sure I was in
Yep.
a reasonable lane.
Yeah. It's fair.
You know
Sounds like-
what? Okay, I will say this. In the fight, Josh, there was a point where like it was almost like a round of movement, and you went to go, I think, save someone or pick someone up, and that's
Yep.
and the round before I got the breath weapon back, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, this is breath weapon number 2 of the fight. There's gonna be some big trouble.
I didn't realize the movement that you had. So it was 2 things. One, I didn't think you had the breath weapon back, and 2,
Yep.
if I remember correctly, the dragon had like flown out, so he wasn't even in the room
Yes.
anymore.
Yes.
And I'm like, all right, I think if I use my whole movement to go over this way, bring this person back up, and
Mhm.
then, I don't think he'll have enough room to get over there.
Yeah.
And then next turn, whoop, breath weapon all 3 of us because
That was the thing too, because it was like it was a hybrid dragon, so I think it made it a 45-foot cone, so it was like the speed plus the range.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was a big thing. Yeah, I remember when that happened, I was like, oh no, I'm about to kill them. I was like, I'm about to kill them.
Yeah.
How about you, Lee?
I've got 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that happened on our live game. So spoilers for like episode 11-ish ballpark and episode like 35, 40-ish ballpark. If you're gonna watch that, if anyone watches it. Around episode 11, they were traversing through the woods to another town, city, whatever. Bandits happened. Overconfident monk runs in 1v3 a couple of bandits. Doesn't use patient defense, doesn't use any of his fancy abilities, but he's just overconfident, runs in, right? Forgets about half of his stuff. I balanced this because all the people in this campaign were DMs and long-term players of their own. So I balanced encounters difficult, very difficult for them. But he didn't use a lot of his core abilities, and he got freaking slammed. I think in round 3 he died. And it was
Bandits have 3 attacks, right? Am I misremembering that?
It depends. Some stat blocks have 2 or 3, I think.
Or maybe I'm thinking the Bandit Captain.
Yeah.
I might be mixing
I think Bandit
that.
Captain has it. I think he was face-to-face with the Bandit Captain along with additional bandits.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he dropped, and then it's like, well, this guy's got 2 attacks. I'm not going to not attack him. Like, he's the only one there. So just swing. He hits him. He lives. He's got 2 failed death saves. So it was up to chance. He rolled under a 10, died. And in that moment, I was like, oh, did I overtune this? Is this too much for him? Or for the group? And I spent probably about an entire 2 rounds of that realizing and going through the motions of panic because I'm like, oh, this is bad. I did this poorly. And it was so early on in the campaign. I was like, this isn't a good moment. This is bad, whatever. But I kind of recovered that a little bit. Not even recovered it, because it's not necessarily even a mistake that I made, per se. It's a mistake that they made. But I felt like the mistake they made was not necessarily their fault so much as it was my fault poorly designing a fight, as, you know, everyone made mistakes. So prior to that actually occurring, he had been was infected with lycanthropy. So when he died, the monk, yeah.
Okay.
So when he died, he pretty much turned into like this raging beast, angry guy, and went attacking his entire party and everyone else.
There you go.
Good news is, after that, he didn't die. Bad news is, I probably should have let him die. Which is probably one of my DM mistakes, as well as one of those player mistakes. But it was really funny, because, like, I describe as he's falling to the ground, and, like, breath leaves his body. You see, like, his, you know, trunk begin to shorten because he was a Loxodon, and it turns into this kind of strange, like, snout, almost, and, like, you see his tusks kind of curl back into this sickly, like, toothy maw.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was fun. And then the other mistake my players made, which was not my fault in the least, and I question their reasoning for any of this. Episode, like, 50-ish, or 30 to 35 to 40-ish, is my party were going to a city that they thought was, I guess, a bad city, like a city that's been infiltrated by bad people, right? So they go in, one thing happens to another, they get checked into like a checkpoint as they're walking to the town. One of them gets recognized for reasons unbeknownst to them. He gets taken into custody and put in jail. Now, the one who got taken into custody was a druid, so he's in jail. The rest of them agreed to get split up and, like, questioned in the, like, guard tower, or guard, whatever, warden's office while they're doing this. And they just took the guy immediately to jail who they recognized. And meanwhile, the hour goes by that they're getting questioned, they come out and they're like, wait, where's our guy? Where's the other guy? And like, oh, he's in jail. They're like, what? So, the guy who got jailed was a druid. He's like, whatever, fucking, I'm a mouse now. Squeaky squeak, mother trucker, and tries to leave. As he's doing that, the party busts down the door of the main, like, guards, like, quarters in the entire major city and started blasting. So they go in and just start taking on this entire city's guard. I'm
like, how is
talking
there
like
more of them. It's like
you guys, you attack their spawn point. Like,
yeah.
They lived because they barricaded themselves. Literally, the druid was literally 15 feet from the door to escape, but they burst in, didn't realize he was the mouse, and just started blasting. He's like, well, I guess I'm blasted too, and he pops out and starts attacking him. But they only got out because there was like a small like cross section of like rooms where they barricaded the doors while guards were like banging down attacking them. And we had the sorcerer sit and concentrate on teleportation circle for an entire minute of combat while the rest of them are like keeping them away from him. And like he's eating attacks left and right, like making concentration checks to maintain this teleportation circle.
Oh my goodness.
Like, and he succeeded on every single concentration check. If he failed one of those, that campaign's over at episode 45, right?
Wow.
That was a 110 episode campaign. You know?
Man.
Like, and that was not me fault. That was not my fault. That was my party decided to attack the spawn point of the guards. Like,
without question.
That's you guys have made some crazy decisions in our games, Jake, but I don't think you'd attack at 45 episodes in. I don't think you would attack a guard post. But
it seems like a toned up version of. It seems like a toned up version of the one.
That's true. That's true.
I mean,
yeah,
they were like level 7 at the time.
You're right.
We were level. I think we just hit level 5.
I think I have the map still. Let me see if I still have the map. Like, it was because it was on Roll20 because it was during the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
But man, that was like, I mean, at that point I was like, look, guys, you fucking made your bed. Like, what do you want me to do about this? Like, I'm not doing this.
It's really impressive they made it out of there. Honestly,
honestly,
that's an incredible story.
I am not kidding you when I say that guy made every single concentration check, and there was at least probably 5 of them. So
yeah, that's 10. Oh, well, I was gonna say 10 rounds.
Of doing nothing. But exactly. So it was incredibly impressive that they made it out of there. Honestly, they should have died. And once they did that, that was a DM lesson for me. It pretty much like blocked off an entire chunk of a campaign that I had like pre-planned and written, because that was a huge plot point in the game. It like they were gonna learn a lot of information there, and then it's just like, well, we can't go there ever again. I'm like, well, now I need to figure out how they're gonna find out 20% of the important information in this entire campaign. That doesn't have to do with how I planned them getting it.
I like the huge approach. That's
what
not
does it
your
look
problem.
like if they don't find out?
Yeah,
what was
that's
that?
Not your problem.
I said, what does it look like if they don't find out?
Well, it looked like they bumble around in the dark for about 40 more episodes while they try to find more information. But you wonder why you felt like you weren't getting enough information. It's almost like you cut off 25% of the game.
So we mentioned we were going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of 5e. So I want to take a different turn and ask what do you hate most about 5th edition?
You.
Hey, that's a valid answer. It's probably true for someone.
What do I hate most about 5th edition? I think
I could go.
Yeah, no, I can go. The system itself, there's just a lot of mechanics that are just, I was gonna say binary, but I guess trinary is kind of more accurate. It's like you have advantage, nothing, or disadvantage. You have resistance, nothing, vulnerability. You have, and it's very easy pattern to follow, but in terms of trying to represent situations in the game with a little more nuance, it's so all or nothing with so many things. And a lot of game design is just designed around, oh, this guy's supposed to be good at it. All right, when they do it, they have advantage. Okay. All right, like, I guess we don't know how good they are at it. It's just good enough to get advantage. I don't know. There's certain things about it that just lacks depth, but that really is its design goal. So you could call that its feature and its flaw. It's its feature, so it's you like it or you don't, I guess really is probably the best way to say that. I like to have a little more ability to do nuance. I think would make me happier with it. I felt I enjoy fifth edition. I think it's probably my favorite edition of D&D. But there's definitely a little something about the system in general that I'm like, all right, I do want to explore other stuff, but I also fully acknowledge my laziness in terms of trying to actually get other people to learn it, and it's just all of it, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe just make my own someday.
I completely agree with you, Jake. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's kind of like the thing that I hate most about it is deeply rooted within the system. It's like it's the main mechanic of the system, and you said it perfectly because it is both the feature and the flaw, right? Like the thing that is most frustrating to me is also the thing that adds so much simplicity and makes it such an easy system to just throw people into. But yeah, that was you pretty much said exactly what I was
do
going
another
to say
one
too.
if you want.
No.
I actually don't like the lore of mages with wizards, sorcerers, and warlocks. I think, I don't know. There's something there that just I want a simpler way magic works personally.
That's
I don't
fair.
want to go too far into it, but I don't think you should be able to get it just from working hard and being smart, or you're just born with it. Like I feel like all of those things should matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
May believe it or not, and this is how. Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Lee looks like he's floating on air.
True. Look at me, Flo. I can't move it. It'll screw up the whole scene if I do.
Do
What
you
about
have
you, Lee? Do you got something?
Yeah, I think, and it's not. I don't hate it about fifth edition. It's just how the system works. It's I really don't like how the damage types really effectively mean nothing. You know, I feel like narratively speaking, it could be a lot more fun for things to have more effect on other creatures. But just because of how the system is designed, it does not work that way, and it can't work that way.
It can't, yeah, because vulnerability is too powerful.
It is. And that's my number one complaint with it. And I understand it. It's just, how the system works. But I feel like radiant damage doing nothing to an undead creature just does not make sense to me.
It's just fundamentally wrong.
Fundamentally, it
because
does not make
radiant
sense.
isn't necessarily holy.
Which is another thing that just bothers me. Like, it's okay to play a divine character, and holy things should damage devils and demons. It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right.
I mean, radiant comes from
Yep.
deity, right?
Yep.
So if you have a good deity, generally radiant. If you have a bad deity, generally necrotic. It's not necessarily holy. That's fair. But if the antithesis of radiant is necrotic, you would assume that they're like
What's life damage?
Exactly, right? Like
I damage you with life. I don't know what that looks like. We'll call it radiant.
Yeah, I guess so. But that's kind of where I'm at. Also, poison damage is trash. It's the worst damage in the whole game. Poison needs to be a cool thing. Like, poison has such potential to be awesome, right? And so many things are just immune to it and resist it. I've told you guys this multiple times before. I have the hard number somewhere, but 25% of all creatures are resistant to it. 25% of additional creatures are just immune to it. So it's insane. It makes people like rogues who want to use poison, stuff like that, completely redundant. It just, because do I even need to roll the poison dice? No, because it's immune, right? Everything is immune. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's dumb.
And that kind of goes, I mean, that's kind of what we were saying. Like, vulnerability is just too strong. Like, you could have more nuance if you had, I mean, even like 4E had different mechanics for that. They just, when you take an instance of damage, you would ignore the first certain amount.
Blasphemer.
Yeah.
4th edition.
I got news for everybody that's excited about 5.5. Josh and I said it from the very first 1D&D video that we made. You're gonna start seeing more 4E elements in 5th edition. You just are. I guarantee it. Yep.
You're gonna
He
like the
said-
way you play. He guarantees it.
Yeah. Hashtag not sponsored by Men's Warehouse.
I think that's a. I think nuance is really like the. I think that's the word that covers everything, like whether it's status effects, whether it's the resistances or advantage versus disadvantage. It's exactly what Jake was saying. It's the nuance, you know. I wanted to see more interesting, like I envision a combat system where like maneuvers are kind of, and I guess maybe this is what they're heading towards with the weapon masteries. Not exactly, but like maneuvers are something that should just be a part of combat. You know, like rogues should be able to fight dirty, and they should have their own special set of maneuvers for that.
Yup.
Fighters, they're the best at fighting, so they have their own maneuvers. Like it just should be a combat system that's more in depth and not just I hit you, you hit me, I hit you, you hit me, I hit you twice, you hit me.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can't
things
move
should be
anywhere.
Brutal. Yeah. Barbarians should fight more brutally. Like.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've talked about this too, and I've brought up my concerns, or not concerns, but my gripes with attacks of opportunity, right? Like, like you just said, maneuver should be a part of combat, and it's just like, what are you quacking about?
They're called opportunity attacks.
Opportunity attacks?
It was Josh's hype man for that.
I wasn't actually gonna say it, but then I heard the quack, and I was like, Jake's setting me up because
He's
this is something I complain about all the time for no reason.
It's one of his pet peeves is that people call it attacks of opportunity.
People who never played D&D when they were called attacks of opportunity still call them attacks of opportunity, and it doesn't make any sense except for
Because
maybe
that's
like
what people
Critical
like
Role, I
me
guess.
taught them.
Listen, all right, Mr. Marshall over there, okay? You know, when you can play a class that doesn't involve a melee weapon or a ranged weapon and maybe start playing a caster, learn some caster rules maybe?
I just played a druid.
He did. He did actually.
For a one shot?
In a mini series. It was a mini series. It was three episodes.
2 or 3 episodes, something like that.
Okay. Great.
Actually,
And
kind of.
can I continue my statement now?
Too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can continue my statement
Oh,
now?
you're still talking?
Alright, that's it. That's it. I might not be the Discord admin, but I am the stream admin.
Oh no!
You're now getting a mustache. Where's that tier?
Oh, you gotta be quicker than that.
Hold on a second. I need that tier. Here it is. Hold on. Where's the tier? I literally just used it on the thumbnail. Hold on a second.
Right,
Yeah, pull out your emo hair.
Emo hair. Here it comes.
Here it is. Let me pull up my tier really quickly. Drop that in there.
That's what my hair looks like when I need a haircut.
I need a haircut too.
There we go. We'll just. You're so sad.
He's so emo.
He's so
As I
sad.
smile.
He's
I can't
so
even not
sad. Look at him. Look at him. So sad.
Now it just looks like he's got a runny nose.
It does look like he's got a runny nose. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, where is it? I don't know where it went. What file is that? Oh God. All
You're
right.
trying to make it mucus looking.
And I'm trying to get rid of it. I don't know where it went.
Yes, Nemo. Marshall's for the win. Lee, I'm sorry for cutting you off.
I don't. What was I saying? I don't remember.
Really, it's my fault. You're
Attack,
talking about
attacks of opportunity.
attacks?
Yeah, attacks of opportunity. Yeah,
No
like
one's
you were
gonna
saying,
do it to bother you.
maneuvers, right? I think that they should just kind of be based in the game, like you mentioned. Another thing was the attacks of opportunity. It makes combat feel kind of like it slogs on, where it's like you stand in one spot, you hit them harder than they hit you back, because if you move, they get a free hit on you, right? And I understand why it's there. I understand the need for it, but at the same time, I think it simplifies combat to a point that's it simplifies combat so much that it becomes unrealistic to a point.
Yeah, I think there actually is a solution to that, and it's actually built in the system itself, and it's not even that complicated. More useful things to do with your reaction.
100%.
Just put more
Tell
more
'em.
competition for that resource. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I've been telling you this for years. Come on.
You
Someone
were at my
clip this, send
you
it
were
to
at my
him.
kid's birthday party. I was telling you over the barbecue. You didn't. What?
Exactly.
You didn't. We didn't have that moment. Yeah.
Jeremy, you had all these questions for Jake when you were building out the new classes in D&D 2024, but you couldn't take his advice on that. Come on.
Oh man.
Come on.
No, but think about it, right? So this is, I mean, it's just a build. It's not really a spoiler for Eve of Ruin, but Lee, you're playing Aradel,
Yep.
who's a
That I
champion
am.
fighter.
That I am.
And one of the things you use for your reaction, or at least that competes for your reaction, is your defensive duelist
Defeat.
move.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. If you're not familiar with that is, it's when you get hit by something, you can use your reaction to add your AC equal to your proficiency bonus.
No, it's just 4. But yeah,
What's your proficiency bonus, my friend?
is it 4? No, it's 5, isn't it?
Why do you think it's 4?
Isn't our proficiency bonus 5 right now?
That's a negative Ghost Rider.
Really?
Trust me.
Okay, I'll trust you.
But like that makes it so like if someone's fighting you and they maybe get a big hit on you that you're thinking like, all right, are they going to try and run away or am I going to try and block this attack? Like that puts an interesting choice for you. And I think more competition for these action economy resources actually is good for the game. So I think this kind of segues a little bit into something that I was actually just thinking about this morning, right? So like healing potions are a bonus action. That's not a house rule anymore. That's going to be a real rule. So like another thing though is administering it to someone else is also a bonus action. So now let's just go through a potential combat, right? Let's say I'm the DM, Josh and Lee are in my game. Whatever circumstances happen, Josh goes down. He's now going to start making death saves. Lee has a healing potion, and there's a monster going towards him. Now, what does Lee do with his? You guys, what does he do with his action? Does he use it to put a healing potion on Josh's character, and then try to get in between the two of them? Does he use his action to attack because he thinks he might be able to kill? Like now, the tension in that moment is gone because I don't have to think about it. I'm going to attack the creature and give the bonus, the potion, and everybody's happy.
You get to have your cake and eat it too.
Like there are some times that's good, but I don't think that's the case for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's fair.
You know, like there are certain pain points that need to be smooth those rough edges out, right? Like I'm trying to think of like a lot of states that you enter needed to be bonus actions that used to be an action, right? Like some of the paladin, was it Holy Nimbus was that one for the devotion paladin, I think.
They're opening up bonus actions a lot more.
Yeah.
And
I think those are good conversations to have. But
yeah.
Just let people house rule that if they want.
Yeah.
Now I have to house rule it to make it correct.
Yeah.
And
I am going to say it that way.
That is a big problem, I think. And maybe this is like, is it time to stop reflecting and start looking forward? Huh?
Yeah, do it.
I mean that I think exactly what you said right there, Jake, is like this is the 2024 rules update. This is the proclaimed, we've had 10 years of play testing and feedback and like, you know, figuring out what needed to be fixed. Did they actually do that? I feel like, I mean, there's a lot of things that you could look at where they continually miss the mark on. I think the Ranger is the one that comes to everyone's mind always.
I'm afraid you got so screwed.
But then, you know, exactly what Jake was just talking about, you know, there's these short-sighted changes where okay, yeah, you've made this change, but now I need to house rule it to fix it because you didn't think it through all the way.
Yeah.
That's how I
Or it
felt when we were,
wasn't broken in the first place.
or it wasn't broken in the first place. Yeah, that's how I felt about Counterspell when we were talking about that yesterday, where it's it looks like Unearthed Arcana. It doesn't look like a full play tested, well thought out spell and new I don't know, new ability is not the right word, but like the new way that it works, it doesn't feel well thought out. It feels very, very half-assed. I I don't know if it's worth going like all the way into it, but like use Constitution instead of your spellcasting modifier to roll for it is just like what? Like why that you're greatly benefiting the sorcerer and not any of the other casters. And then you're pushing people into taking things like resilient, right? Is it resilient? Is that the name of the feat? Yeah,
Milo took that one because of how important con is, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It just there's just I don't know, man. When I think about D&D 2024, I don't think D&D is going anywhere. I think that we're still going to be playing it for a long, long, long time. But Jake and I said it on this stream. You know, we met playing Destiny. Love Destiny. Destiny 1, one of my favorite games of all time. Probably my top 3 favorite games of all time. And we watched them miss the mark multiple times, taking the wrong feedback, you know, listening to people who made videos about how much they hated the game and sending them to a creator summit to then decide what the future of the game should be.
Stop me if you've heard this story before.
Wow.
we ended in a sidearm meta, which was
oh my god, something
horrible.
You joked about.
It was something that I called it as a joke, and then it was real. And I remember like in the months leading up to Destiny 2, I was like, I don't think this is going to be what we want it to be. I think that like this is kind of the end of an era, and then especially when and then especially when we actually we got to try it, the beta, I was like, yeah, I think this is the end of an era. It doesn't feel like the beginning of something new that we're going to be playing for.
You really feel like that with the new edition with 2024?
It's a very nostalgic feeling, and the feeling is the same way that I felt in the end of Destiny 1 leading into Destiny 2. It feels like it feels more like the end of something than the beginning or the enhancing of it.
That's I cannot discredit anything you said because I do agree with a lot of it. But I will also say that I do think that the internet tends to hit the panic button way too soon on everything. And I don't know what my thoughts are on 2024 yet because I haven't read it. And quite honestly, I do not trust anything I'm reading because the people writing anything that's about this are people that are just like whistleblowing, you know, drama baiting internet users, right? And I agree with a lot of what you said about how it feels like it's rushed, how things aren't, you know, set in stone, how things just feel kind of weird. But at the same time, I don't want to buy into people like slamming the panic button over and over and over and over again for constant views. You know, I want to give it a second to read it before I kind of commit it to the bin, right? Because like there are things in it that I do really like Jake said, like the like how they were opening up your bonus action for more things, like they good rest to the ranger. The ranger's gone, but like they've done a lot of stuff with like the monk. Some of the stuff's like their movement whenever, or barbarian moving when they rage for free, like that's fantastic. It opens up more opportunities for them, and there's a lot of quality of life things that make me feel good about it. But at the same time, there's also a lot of things I've been reading that make me feel really scared about it, right? So I don't know what to believe because I haven't seen anything aside from the news articles on the site, right? So
let me just ask you a direct question, Josh. Are you saying that you kind of definitively know it's going to be bad, or are you
absolutely not? No,
and I kind of get the sense of describing it. Your spidey senses are tingling, and you're like, I don't like it. I don't
100%.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. I'm not saying like I've looked at everything that I've looked at I hate. That's not the case. I mean, you saw us talking about changes in some of the classes.
But the Ranger, big hate.
Like, throw me with the Vito Corleone gif of, look how they massacred my boy.
You know? What did they do to my boy?
Don't let his mother see him like this. But yeah, but other people are really excited with it, and that is just like a quick aside. Like what I want, and a lot of things that I like might not be what the majority of people want. So if most people like what the Ranger is now, that's great.
No one does.
Good for them. I'll still play 2014 Ranger, and that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I do believe that a lot of the stuff I'm seeing it doesn't seem like finely tuned the way that it should be after an update of rules that are 10 years old, especially when they're advertising it as like, we've spent the last 10 years trying to make this perfect.
I like the Destiny example you gave. It's like perfect. You know, anyone who's been on an online game and you've been there for so long and you understand the ins and outs of it, and you're like, every new update you're like, and you're just kind of hoping to come back to that moment of like that childhood moment of wonder, right? And every year goes by, it gets further and further from what it used to be. You keep hoping that it goes back to the way it used to be, and it never does, right?
It's
the whole childhood thing where you don't miss the childhood, you miss your childhood, you don't miss what you happened at or the game specifically at your childhood, Josh.
Yeah. But I will say I'm not like, it's like what Jake said. I don't think it's gonna be terrible. I think a lot of people are still gonna love it. I think I'm gonna really enjoy a lot of it. I'm really excited to dive into weapon masteries. I'm sure there's some other things that I'm excited about too that I'm not thinking of.
Yeah, weapon masteries are cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still very hopeful. It's exactly what Jake said. It's just that spidey sense feeling of like this. It doesn't, and I haven't seen anyone's videos on it. Because
I'm always saying, "Hey Josh, did you see this? Did you see this?" And he's like,
"Yeah,
not yet."
Yeah, exactly. I watched some of the Dungeon Dudes video because they're the only creators that come to mind that I know have a copy of the book, who, one, I trust to do it justice, and two, who they've never been feeding into like the toxic like drama and anything like that. And that's not to say that I don't know everyone who has a book. So like, if you're watching this and thinking like, Josh,
but everyone aside from us has a book. Like, I don't. Everyone aside from us
like that, Lee. It feels like that.
But yeah, Jake, I think I cut you off at least twice. I just wanted to make sure that people know that I'm not saying it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling of something coming to an end. That's it.
Yeah, that's definitely, at least last night, that's what you were saying to me. I'm trying to like say this without necessarily sounding as negative as it might. But that being said, doing surveys is looked at generally as a good thing, right? You're getting the feedback of the consumer. Okay. I get the sense that a lot of people, and it's just the one that kind of probably bothers me the most, so I'm gonna talk about it, but like fudging hit points or ignoring hit points and fudging dice rolls. How many tables? This is purely a subjective guess, but I actually want to ask both of you if you were to put a percentage of dungeon masters that do things like ignore hit points or just modify hit points on the fly. And I'm not talking about rolling hit dice on the fly. I'm talking about like, oh my gosh, this monster has 80 hit points. The paladin just hit it for 60, so now it has 180 hit points. You know what I mean? Like big swings because they're like, well, you can't have a boss fight into 2 turns. That would be awful. It's like, well, or they earned it, and you should honor their. Anyways, but dungeon masters that do things like that. What percentage of the people out there do you think do that?
My guess.
Just a guess. I mean,
80,
it's a guess.
85.
Okay.
Ooh, I mean, I have to split it. I'd say my guess for people who just don't even actually use hit points at all would be
That's
somewhere
obviously
like,
an extreme.
Oh,
But yeah.
yeah, that's why I wanted to separate it. I feel like that's probably somewhere in maybe like the 15% range, maybe 20%.
Okay.
People who change stuff on the fly like that. Ah, man, it's you want to say it's a small percentage. I'd say it's probably like 40 to 60%. I don't think
Okay.
it's everyone, but I think it's at least
Oh, I think it's a
Okay.
lot higher
somewhere in
than
that half
yeah.
range.
I probably would have guessed 70-ish. You know, like I'm thinking not just the majority, but a super majority, right? It's the election season. Get out there and vote. But let me just finish the point, and then so if that's how many DMs are doing it, and they're taking surveys to build the product, who's filling out the surveys? People that, in my opinion, aren't even playing the game. And I'm not saying that to sound like doom and gloom or negative, because like maybe this is just my own weird brain. But am I wrong? I want to be wrong.
I think you're
I want
wrong.
to be wrong.
I think you're
You
wrong.
do?
I do.
Please give me hope.
Well, how could all right?
Because the
why you
people
think
who are
he's
filling
wrong,
out
and then
the
I'll-
surveys, the people who are loosey goosey to do stuff like that, likely they obviously don't care about details, so why the hell would they go through the effort of filling out a survey about something that they necessarily don't care about the basic rules about?
Because it's all about their story and their voice being heard over everyone else's.
See,
That's why they
say
play
that,
the way they
but
play.
see, you're conflating another kind of person with people with DMs who do a certain thing, and I agree. There's overlap there, but you can't conflate people who are like that we've privately talked about versus people who do this as a DM. You know, and I agree with you, but that overlap isn't 100% overlap. You know,
I certainly
Sure.
don't have any proof. This is me just thinking about the situation and going.
the reason I think it's such a high percentage is because I am a person who does that. I've done it before, and I don't think it's a terrible thing to do. And we've talked about this a little bit, and you know, it is what it is. But like, I honestly think that Wizards of the Coast got so much feedback from the first OGL stuff for about a year, and then that feedback died until you got the people with the big mouths who have the big opinions. And the people with the big mouths and the big opinions are the people who are generally more hardline with rules and stuff like that. At least that's how I view the situation. You know, because have you heard anything about the OGL stuff in the past year? Have you heard anything about the Pinkertons in the past year? Have you heard anything about any of this stuff?
I mean, no.
I actively avoid all of that.
But I
stuff,
actually stopped
so-
Twitter as a New Year's resolution. I've only been on there a handful of times.
Good
because
on you, dude. Good
someone
on you.
DMs me or something. Like, been much happier for it.
It's just like the news. It's standard news, right? Like, and I'm gonna say things out here. No opinions. I'm just throwing this out there, right? We've got things like Ukraine. We've got things like the Palestine-Israel stuff. We've got stuff like assassination attempts. All of these things, they're in the news for about a month and then they're gone. People forget about them, stop talking about them. It's just typical how people react to news, right? So I think that
the
big
OGL
outrage
stuff ended.
I know,
Oh,
but
no,
what
man.
I'm saying is that's the thing that I think would push people that you're worried about to fill out surveys like that. I think anyone who's still angry enough to fill things out about this kind of stuff are people who are more hardline in the sand about certain rules and stuff. You know?
I don't think
now who's
people are
conflating the
actively-
issue?
I don't believe that people are actively messing up surveys, and I think that if I did feel that way, that even the decisions that they were making were like wrong or messed up or anything, then what I said before about like what I want for the Ranger is not necessarily what
Yeah.
everyone wants or what is best for the Ranger. I genuinely believe that. So you know, it's all subjective, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it. I might be misunderstanding your point, but
Yeah.
I don't think that people are mad at Wizards of the Coast and then like purposefully throwing.
Yeah, you're missing. I'm not saying that they're
Okay.
throwing in fake. I'm saying that in that situation,
Who is likely to fill out the survey?
That's exactly. I'm saying in that situation
yeah.
was everyone was much more likely to fill out the surveys. Now with all this lull and stuff like that,
Yeah.
the amount of people likely to fill out a survey is like 1% of the player base, right? How
If I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying someone that's likely, who's more likely to fill out a survey? Someone that ignores the rules or someone that loves them?
exactly?
Okay, yeah, and I get that, and to an extent I'd agree, but I don't know if I'd necessarily assign more or less likely to do something like that without setting up a study, something I did for my undergrad.
Not worth the effort.
I
No.
also don't believe that getting feedback from people is the best way to create something. I think that it's the best way to ruin something. People are not game designers, and in every aspect of game dev, like they will tell you have to protect players from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's like the classic video game thing. If a player finds out the most optimized way to do something, they will optimize the fun out of the game. You can't trust people for specific feedback like that. You can get feedback on, is this fun, is this not fun, but when you get into like all the details of it, you're the game designer. I'm not the game designer. I mean, maybe I am a game designer, but not for Wizards of the Coast, you know?
Why do I feel like you're attacking me with what I told you guys last night? With the
Wait,
Warcraft stuff I talked to you about.
Oh.
I feel like you're attacking me.
Oh, no. That wasn't even a thought in my mind.
So I don't want to make it sound. Sometimes I
Panic.
have these thoughts that feel like they're.
It's on
No,
fire.
All the things that I'm saying is just me basically saying, like, I remember that time when Destiny 2 came out, and I remember you saying that. And in the moment, I was like, well, look at all these fun things, you know, and I was like, that's fun. This is good. And like, I still played it, but like, the fire was gone. Like, our group just was like, it's not as fun. And anytime we go back and do a nostalgic thing, we always play Destiny 1.
Yeah. I'll fire up Destiny 1 right now if you want to run through Crota and try to do Crota.
We'll 2-man it. Yes. What I'm trying to say is, if I, of course, I'm gonna want to try the 2024 rules. I don't think we've ever fully landed on exactly how we're gonna handle that for Eve of Ruin. I think case by case, character by character, sort of. We just talk about it because that's the best advice for every table. But
we're
on
fire. Ah!
Jake, stop, drop, and roll, Jake.
This is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
Nice, well done. This is fine.
Yeah. I just think. Oh man!
I threw him for a loop. I threw him for such a loop.
I need to look up Destiny. I'm of course want to play it, and of course I'm going to think for myself. I know for a fact Josh is not as dialed into what YouTubers are saying about the update, and when he says like I'm just getting this feeling, it's because he hears me say like I heard this, I heard that, and he looks at a few things and he goes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have a feeling that we're gonna end up playing a blended. We're gonna end up playing 2018 Dungeons and Dragons, or however you want to call it. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like Michael Scott saying sometimes I just start talking and I don't know where I'm going with it, but I'm having thoughts and feelings. That and is it getting hot in here?
I don't know how it happened.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
This Jake is on
fire.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what to say with it from there, except to say like, of course I'm going to give it a chance because I am old enough to know that I've been wrong so many times.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be. I don't even know what necessarily I'm scared of. I just don't want to make it so easy for people to just do everything that their choices don't matter anymore. And I think that's really what it comes down to. That's why I cited the potion change. That's why, like, it should, like, choosing to use a resource is significant.
Mm-hmm. Those, if you look at like the original like 1D&D videos that we're doing, it's like it's a lot of like Josh ranting about like them trying to create a homogenized D&D, you know, basically turning 5e into what people hated about 4th edition. So it's funny that you bring that up because I haven't even really been thinking about that. I know that's not exactly what you just said.
I think the business plan is remarkably similar, which is where a lot of OGL things came from and all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting to me to hear you guys talk about this because I feel like, and I know we've talked about this long time ago at least with 5th edition. As it's 5th edition's initial creation or like selling point was the fact that it has such a low learning curve or barrier to entry, and it's so simplified. That's both a strength and a weakness of 5th edition, right? And it sounds like they're making it even more simplified based on how things are talking about and like and this is actually we can go right on back to the whole game topics. You guys talk Destiny, I talk Warcraft. One of the things that I really hated about some stuff in the game was a lot of the classes, very similar to D&D, had core things they're all very good at. Same thing with D&D. There come a point where this class wants to do this class wants to do this, and then they just start homogenizing the special things in each of these classes so everyone can get a little bit of everything, right? And that takes away the special part of what makes that class cool. And I think that's just kind of a side effect of 5th edition as a whole, and they're just going further into it, right? But I do think, on a positive note, while they do seem to be doing that kind of stuff, they are also adding more things in that seem at least interesting to make things a little bit more unique with, like, the weapon masteries, like we were talking about, with how they're handling feats now, and stuff like that. I do think they're opening up more avenues to make things more Pathfinder-esque, where I'll have a little bit of that, take that, right? But you still have the core.
Mean D&D 3rd edition-esque.
I wouldn't say that, because that's just math, right? Like the core of that's just math, if we're being honest.
Oh wow!
Oh, look at that! We got some fun stuff.
What is? I've never seen that before. What is that? Trader SO2 gifted 5 memberships. Holy snot, Trader! Thanks,
That's
buddy.
Really cool.
That's super cool.
I think I speak for all of us when.
Here, I'll turn on. We'll just everyone remember 5th edition for what it was.
I can't hear it. I don't know if the stream
Can't hear it either.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see how many of you guys would do it.
I feel like I need to say this one more time. I am excited about the 2024 rulebook. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't
I'm
trust
gonna
him.
dig through that thing as soon as I have an opportunity to. Jake and I are gonna be messaging about it constantly.
You might
We're
call
gonna
it
be
an attack of opportunity.
we're gonna I might call it
Wow,
an
you're triggering
opportunity
him.
for me to take an attack. No, I
Hold on. I think you deserve the fire now. You're getting a little toasty about the whole opportunity attacks thing. You can have the fire.
I'm always toasty about that, so it's okay. Um, but I'm very excited about it. Jake and I are going to be theory crafting, and I'm sure Lee too. There's going to be many nights where we're on Discord until 11:30 at night, which doesn't sound that late, but we're old men, so it is late for us.
Wow, call out.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Actually-
you'll be on all hours of the night. Me and Jake, once it hits 11 o'clock, both of us are like,
I think
yeah.
It's time. Oh, hit the hay. Oof.
definitely.
I am really excited about it.
I am too.
And I do believe that we're going to create our own kind of, and that's what D&D is made for. It's made for you to pick out the things that you like, leave the things that you don't like. It's made for you to look at counterspell and say that shouldn't be con, that should be your spellcasting ability modifier, your spellcasting ability score. So that that's what we're going to use.
Yeah, I got you.
And that's what it's going to be. So yeah, I genuinely am hopeful. I'm very excited. Just it's just peppered with dread.
Well, is it fair to say that your feelings or
Don't
I was
matter.
going to say they don't matter anymore. No, is it fair to say that at least a very large part of what you're feeling is just appreciating the product that the 2014 is or was?
I think some of it is that. I think it's deeper than that too, though. Like if we want to really dig into like what was the end of Destiny like, our tensions with the group, we're not playing as much, like we're trying to raid, we're not trying to raid, like all these kind of things. It's really hard to get a group together to do this raid like that. It's all that kind of stuff. It's personal issues with the group that you're playing with, or issues, or just circumstance, whatever you want to call it, on top of big changes. So, Peppered with Dread is an excellent emo band name. Thank you, Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Yeah,
10
it
out
is
of
a
10.
very good. Yeah.
That should be the thumbnail if you cut this up. Take Josh's emo thing and just go Peppered with Dread, the 24.
I'll break out some of my old music
Fedora.
I made. No, not my fedora. I hate. This is the worst bit. This is the
Not a
worst
bit. It's just
No,
just
the
Not a
bit
bit,
is
you got called out.
The
You got
bits,
exposed.
the bits continually bringing it up. The bits continually bringing the expose up. Like, okay, I get it. It's a
Just
mistake.
using knowledge. I have
All right.
screenshots about your Spirit Shroud take. Just saying, if I ever need it.
Oof.
You screenshots about my spirit
Wow.
shot take?
I do.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'll remember
So
that.
yes, Jake. There's some appreciation in there. There's also just like, what's the group gonna look like? Who actually is going to want to do this? Like, it's not necessarily that like when I say it feels like the end of something. It's not. People are gonna be playing D&D for forever. It's the world's greatest role playing game. People will be playing, and this will get a lot of hate. People are going to be playing D&D long after people stop playing Pathfinder. I fully believe that. I don't
That's
have
just
anything.
true. Anyone that doesn't think that is.
I don't have anything against Pathfinder. I really don't. My problem is the people who play it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no! This is my channel, guys.
I'm just
This
kidding.
is my
I'm kidding.
channel.
There was a joke. No,
At me. Don't at me, bro.
it's one of those things that I do genuinely think will be around forever. But there's a sort of finality to this, mixed with excitement. That's all it is.
Peppered with
I got
dread.
a question. Peppered with dread. I got a question. I'm gonna throw it at Lee just because Josh was the last one to talk. But both of you really.
No.
Do you think this will bring more division? than unity?
Bro, listen. If there's one thing, I gotta temper my.
I was gonna say, I guess that's the answer there. Ooh.
I gotta temper what I'm gonna say here because we're live.
Do you want me to respond
Josh,
to his question
maybe you should
with
go
another
first.
question?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
What would be better for YouTube views?
That doesn't help.
I think.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Like
yes, it does. We have a leadership crisis. It's not. It's not a DM crisis.
That's what Jake and I were talking about back in the days of like the OGL. It's which that I guess maybe that's a whole other thing. But it's a leadership problem. Do I think that this is going to create unity? No. It's like when 4th edition came out, or when 3rd edition came out, or 2nd edition, or when they made AD&D after the original D&D was out. It doesn't. You're creating a new thing for people to argue about and say like, oh, the old one was better, the new one's better, and then it's coming out in a time that most people just care, but they don't really care about like what they're throwing out into the world. They care about how many clicks they're getting and how many comments they're getting.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of, that's how it goes. So yeah, no, I don't think it will bring more unity, but I don't think that's the D&D's problem. I think that's just a societal problem.
Yeah, I'll second that. I don't think it's gonna
say, how do you follow that?
I don't think it's gonna do. I don't think it's gonna bring people together. I don't think it's gonna separate people more than they're already separated.
Man, you are optimistic. I like this, Lee. Keep talking to me, please.
Well, I will double down on what he just said. It's not a DM issue. It's a leadership issue, right? Like, and we've privately talked about this so much, with like just the online face of D&D is just terrible. D&D is going down the shitter. It's drama, rage baiting, all of this stuff, and I'm not going to say that it's not warranted or some of this stuff isn't warranted, right? Because let's be frank, some of this stuff is warranted. But the online face of D&D is it's people who just cause drama without having facts a lot of the time. And that makes it seem, I think, so much worse than it is, because I am honest to God believe that 95% of the people in the world have a brain and can think for themselves and just don't see the value in engaging with all of this negativity, drama, mumbo jumbo, right? I honest to God believe that, and it's just in the world in general, right? I honestly believe that 95% of the population just don't want to engage with it and are happy just rolling dice in their basement with their friends, I will say, I do think the online space is a huge problem for D&D and TTRPGs as a whole. Whether or not it's D&D cannibalizing itself, or D&D and Pathfinder having an all-out war about which one's better, about why one sucks and why is better, about, any of these random rage bait news articles. It seems a lot worse than it is, in my honest to God opinion, and I do think things are better than they seem, and I do think they will get better. But I think if you are a person who lives purely in the YouTube, D&D, online Twitter space, you're only going to see negativity unless you purely watch like 3 to 5 content creators like J&J, like myself, like people who, honest to God, just want to put fun things out there without worrying about, angry clickbait things, about, oh, this guy did this, that's terrible thing, like virtue signaling.
I actually started using my subscriptions tab now instead of the homepage, just because
because that's what you have to do that now.
Yeah.
And it's just how the internet works nowadays. How any sort of like social media outlet works nowadays. It's just what gets clicks, and I partially can't blame it because you're right. It clicks get clicks and money and all that stuff. Good for you, make the bag, but you're doing it at a cost. There's people, and this is where I didn't want to go too far into this because like you're
Nobody's forcing you.
I know, but hey, it's my channel. I'll burn it to the ground if I want. At some point, your virtual signaling is not only burning down your goodwill with the people online, but it's also directly harming the people in the community that want to enjoy this game with you, right? It is doing nothing but negative to it. So, I don't know. I just want to roll some dice, have a couple of brewskis with my buds, and make funny jokes about a kobold named Steve,
Mm-hmm.
That's D&D to me. I don't care if you feel like you shouldn't play a kobold. I don't care if you feel like I should have asked Jake if it was okay that I played a kobold. I don't care if you roll with a D4. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to play D&D. And that's what D&D 5th edition does well is you can do whatever you want. No table plays 5th edition the same way. It does not happen. That's another thing I was trying to get out 10 minutes ago when you were talking about 2024 to 2014 to 2024 was the fact that no two D&D 5th edition tables are the same because there's so much wiggle room between the rules. Everyone has different homebrew rules. Like the potion thing is just an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sentinel with the dragon. There's an example.
Yeah.
That's it. Rant's over. I'm done.
Yeah. You're probably right. I've always been of the mindset that I would very much prefer to be smaller and have my name still be good than have a name that is actual trash, but I have a big channel. Because then succeeding would not mean anything. It would just mean that I had to hurt people in order to get there.
Right, and that's what it's crazy.
But that's really what it comes down to, in my opinion. And that's not me or Lee or Josh. I'm just making sure anyone that's watching this, that's not us saying everyone that's big has done that. There are some people out there that absolutely put false information out there because they knew it would get clicks, and they benefited from it greatly. That's just factually true.
You know what? I
But
will
it's not
say
everybody.
I am so you know what? My favorite memory or one of my favorite things that D&D has ever done for me is meeting you guys, cuz like not only are you guys really cool people and amazing friends who didn't show up to my wedding, but you're
It was for your mother's sake.
Oh, next time I see you, you're getting an attack of opportunity right in the face. But it not only meeting you guys at like great people, great friends, but like it also showed, and that's why I have hope, is because it showed me that not the entire community is just, a shit spiral of negativity, right? People like me who just want to have fun and enjoy the game and share their fun stories and things with the world exist. Meeting you guys gave me like that moment because I was very like, you know what, this is just how it is. And then I met you guys and I'm like, wow, people do exist, So
like when the Eminem met Santa on that commercial. You do exist.
There's that brain cell again.
Just pass it back and forth, or we're just both dialed into the same one.
Yeah.
No, Lee, I know I'm older, so I'm supposed to be wiser. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. That's a human thing.
Pretty sus.
But like actually just hearing you say that you just had, I don't know exactly how you phrase it, and just that you were like, I believe that most people are good in this space.
Yeah, 100%. Their heart's in the right
just-
place. I feel
I'll
that.
just say this, that gives an old man hope sometimes. So please don't lose that. I'm not even saying that like you're laughing, but I'm actually being serious.
Yeah. You're not that old.
I said it that way to be funny, but just sometimes people need to hear that.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning, and that's what. And I know we had our conversation last night. Every time I talk
think I
with you
left
guys, you walk me back from the hill or rock me back off of the cliff again, right?
He's on the ledge. He's ready to go.
I've
Taken
been
the dive.
I know there's not many, whoever's here. I have come so close to just like dropping my channel entirely because of all this, because I've like gotten close to losing hope, coming back, losing hope and whatnot. And like talking to these guys really helps me kind of stay stable, gives me a frame of reference for a lot of stuff, right? I have a big mouth and I'm very excitable. So having people like these two who are, they might talk a lot and have opinions, but they're much more conservative with how quickly they respond to certain things. Really helps me personally. But like we were just talking last night about like I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do on YouTube anymore, and you guys literally sat with me for like an hour and talked about it with me, right? Like it's there's
That's actually fun.
Right?
I had fun looking at it.
It was interesting, and I don't know. I really appreciated it, and it helped me look at things from a frame that I couldn't. I was so like blinders on, focused on one thing, like because we were all just angry about like all this terrible stuff being said and going on, and then we were just talking, and as you guys were talking, I was like, wait a second, I have my blind glasses on. Let me take them off. Like,
Yeah.
And I honest to God do believe most of the people playing D&D, interested in playing D&D, really do just want to enjoy the game.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
clicks happen because clicks happen and rage and bait and what stuff like that, but honest to God, at the end of the day, people don't care as long as they get to name their Ted's Ted, their Fred's Fred, and,
And their Steve's Paul.
Exactly. So, yeah.
I'm going to give you a very uncomfortably long hug one day, Lee.
Okay, good. Great, I can't wait. Oh, this is the police. This is the police. Open up.
It's the sound of the police.
Yeah, I do think that meeting you guys honestly, that gave me enough hope to realize, not even hope, that gave me enough of like a shock to realize that there are people that actually just enjoy the game. Because prior to meeting you guys, I was in a space where a lot of the people were just nothing but negative, and meeting people that were not only positive but sought out positivity in an area that is so heavily occupied by negativity gave me one, hope for the community, as well as two, hope for the just platform in general. There's so many people out there like us that just want to have fun, enjoy the game, and they're overshadowed by loud people yelling angry things. And that's just true in the world as it is, right? It's not just D&D, it's just true in the world. So,
Yeah.
just to be good people, enjoy good people, have good fun. And that's how you play D&D.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look for the helpers, not the herders.
Is it the Mr. Rogers quote, right? Yeah.
Dude, I haven't watched Mr. Rogers since I was freaking 4 or 5.
And we all need to watch more of that.
You're not my neighbor. I hate to break it to you.
But won't you be my neighbor?
No, I won't. You're very far away from me. It's very unlikely.
Who is your neighbor?
Kind of his neighbor.
I don't know. I think his name's Steve.
Or
Paul.
Ted. Maybe Ted.
It might be Ted. It might be Ted. That, you know what? It all makes sense now. I keep pulling back to Ted. Oh man. Yeah. I'm hopeful. I honestly think that this 2024 edition is not going to change a damn thing.
It's
I'll pick and choose what I like. That's
Yeah.
gonna be my approach.
exactly.
Welcome to D&D, friends.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny because I think a lot of people can pick apart this video and say like, you know, Josh said he's filled with dread. You said all the people here like on YouTube are like awful and like making things.
I said
up for
everyone
their
voting
game.
on D&D is stupid.
There's all of these things that you could point out and say like, oh, these guys hate the game and they think that the new stuff is gonna be horrible, and it's like all of us completely agree that we're excited for what's coming and we're hopeful that it's gonna be good for us, good for the community, and just more fun times.
Yeah.
So.
Good
And
night,
if you
Vanessa.
remember what Jake and I were saying about 11 o'clock at night, it's 10:52, and like I think you see me like. Kind of
Yeah,
melting
Josh
down
checked
a
out
little
20
bit
minutes
more
ago when I
in the
started my
seat.
rant.
No,
No, but the fuzzy brain is setting in.
it is. It is.
All right, well, we'll call it here then, guys. Yeah, thanks for chatting. Thanks for having a good time. And remember, just because you're on fire doesn't mean you can't call the fire department.